This video was made possible by the EA Creator Network. Hi everyone, it's Chrissie and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Lovestruck speed build. So today we're actually going to be building something a little bit bigger than any of the builds that we've done so far, and as you guys can see I do already have kind of like the shell and the layout done, because it took me quite a while to figure all of that out because I wasn't exactly sure about how I wanted to do it. But we're going to be building a couple of apartments. Now because this build is only base game and the new Lovestruck pack, and because this is obviously a very different version of the game than, you know, my normal game where I have other packs, and that's why we have the little watermark floating around the screen of my gallery ID and all of that stuff. I obviously did not have access to the other packs, like For Rent for example, which would make this lot actually, you know, function as a proper apartment lot. But I wanted to do this for a couple of reasons. One, I wanted to see if I could build like more than one like style or something that with the new items. So in this one I actually did 5 separate apartments, and they aren't very different in style just because of the build by items in the pack, which I will get to that. But they're all different color schemes, they're all different sizes as well, and bedrooms and all of that stuff. So I wanted to do something that would give me a little bit more flexibility with, you know, when I do actually do gameplay. And if I play with this in my normal game and I have access to For Rent, I can, you know, separate all of these apartments out, make them all separate apartments. And, you know, there's things for, you know, single sims, there's space for couples, there's space for smaller families, bigger families. And I also put in a kind of community space. So I wanted to do that because I wanted to make a couple of different builds with this early access version that I had. So I wanted to do at least one community lot, which I already did. I did the red velvet like lounge. I also did a penthouse build, I did this build, and then I did a regular like one family home as well, which will be going up probably tomorrow. But yeah, so I wanted to do a couple of different things with the pack to see what I could do. And also I wanted to do something that would be pack restricted, but that I could put in my normal game and then, you know, use with like one other pack and make it like super useful and fun to play around with. So that's why I thought, you know, making apartments and then requiring For Rent eventually as well would be good, because I feel like a lot of people have For Rent, or like it's one of the more popular packs, and I feel like the pack style of For Rent as well would go really, really well with the pack style and the build style of this one. Obviously, they're based on completely different places. This pack is built and based around Mexico City, like Mexico City specifically for architecture, all of that kind of stuff. Whereas For Rent is more Southeast Asian based. So, you know, they're very different, but a lot of the colors and, you know, the brightness and the patterns and stuff for these two packs do work really well together, or they would work really well together in my opinion. So I thought, you know, if you have For Rent and, you know, you're getting Lovestruck, then you could download this apartment building and have a totally functional apartment building, which I think would be really, really fun to play with, because like I said, there are 5 different apartments, and there is also a little family, not family space, but like community space. So right at the front we actually have a gym. So I did put in a small gym that's kind of like for the apartment residents. There's a locker room attached to it as well. And then they have a big backyard with a lot of stuff to do. I put in a pool. I play around with the new round pools that we have, that we're getting in the base game update. I put in like a pool. I put in a hot tub. I put in a swing set that's new that comes from this pack. And I put in one of those small like stargazer like telescopes from the base game, and obviously a bunch of lounge chairs and grilling space. And then I also put in kind of like a community, almost like gathering space. This is what I'm working on right now actually, is I put in a little bar in there, a games table, a stereo. So there's a lot of things for Sims to do outside where they can, you know, mingle with their neighbors and, you know, interact with the other Sims in their apartment building and all of that stuff, which I thought was really cool. A couple of the apartments, I think 3 of them, yeah, 3 of them actually have direct access to the back, so they have back doors, whereas the other 2 would need to go around the front and then in through the side entrance, which you will see. But yeah, I feel like that is totally fine, honestly. But so going on to the actual layout of the apartments and, you know, what I was thinking for them. So you'll see that I did try and go for a couple of different colors on the outside just to make it look a little bit more interesting, and, you know, like maybe some parts of it were built before other parts, or some parts have been repainted, or, you know, something like that. But there is, like I said, 5 apartments. So one of the apartments is actually kind of like supposed to be a studio bachelorette apartment. So there's no separate bedroom. I mean, the bedroom is fairly separate, but there's no door leading into it. And that one is actually only accessible from the 2nd floor, from that outside staircase that you can see on the side. You actually have to go up that, and then they have their own kind of like private balcony space, which I thought was really nice. And then that's how they access their apartment. But then next to it, we actually have a 2-story apartment and then another 2-story apartment. So the 2 middle ones are both 2 stories. So they have their living spaces downstairs and then all of their bedrooms upstairs. One of them is actually a 2-bedroom apartment that has like 2 bedrooms and then 1.5 bathrooms. The full bathroom is upstairs and it's shared between the 2 bedrooms. And then the other one is actually a 3-bedroom and 1.5 bathroom. So there's like a guest bathroom downstairs with a toilet and a sink. And then upstairs there's 3 bedrooms and then a full bathroom. And then the last building, kind of like, I say building, but last part of the apartment building is way on the left hand side, and that one is actually 2 separate apartments, 1 on each floor. And the bottom floor one is 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and then the upstairs I believe is 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. So yeah, it's a very tiny apartment. That one is probably the most cramped out of all of them, I think. I mean, some of the 2-story apartments, one of them is fairly cramped, like the living space is very tiny, but that one has like 3 bedrooms, so it's technically bigger. But that one, like 2nd floor 2-bedroom apartment is really tiny, like the bedrooms. That one I actually end up furnishing for a couple of parents and a toddler, and the toddler's room is tiny. Like the bathroom I think might be bigger than the toddler's bedroom. Which is really funny and probably not very realistic, but I really wanted to play around with the new like shower doors that we get in this pack. It's kind of like, you know, it's technically a sliding glass door, you could use it anywhere, but they look really great in showers and to make like walk-in showers. So I really wanted to use that as much as I could. So I think 3 of the apartments, all 3 of the apartments apart from the 2 double-story ones, they all have like walk-in showers, and I wanted to do that for all of them just because I wanted to play around with the walk-in shower, like with those doors, and making my own custom showers. So I put those in, and then I also gave them bathtubs as well. So the bathrooms do end up being quite big in some of these apartments. I do apologize for that, but I really like that. So yeah, obviously you can renovate these apartments if you end up downloading it and playing in it. You can obviously, you know, refurnish them or renovate them, make them bigger, make them smaller as you want. I will try and have this build up on the gallery once the pack is out. Obviously, because this is a separate version of the game, it's not the final version of the game. So if there are any bugs or glitches or weirdness, then, you know, it's just because it's not the build of the game that will be shipping for everyone to buy on the 25th. But yeah, because of that, it's also, you know, just base game, just the new pack, and I don't have access to the gallery like at all. I can't even save builds to my library so that I can put my like tray files in my normal game. So what I will have to do is I'll have to save my save files of, you know, what I did with this version of the game, and then hope that when I put them in my normal game with the pack, once I have access to it, that those save files will actually work. And, you know, in the past, they have worked when I've done this before with other early access versions like this one. They have worked, but it's not a guarantee that they will. So cross your fingers and hope with me that, you know, they actually end up working and I can, you know, get access to these builds and the makeovers and the families that I've done so that I can upload those to the gallery, because if I can't, then I will be very sad, because that means that this build and all of my other builds will just be lost to the void, because I am not going to go through and rebuild all of them. Like, I will not. I'll do new builds once I have the pack and I have access to all of my other packs and my mods and all of that stuff. I will obviously do more builds with this pack and in this world, obviously. But if I lose these builds because my save files don't work for whatever reason, then I'm not going to go through and rebuild them. I'm just not. Like, they took me long enough to do the first time around, and I really like them. I would love to have another go at the build like the lounge that I did, but have, you know, access to all of the other packs so that I can add more things to it. Same with the penthouse. I'm really looking forward to building more penthouses and, you know, like I said, playing around with more packs, but I'm not going to go through and redo the ones that I've already done. So yeah, just hope with me that my save files will work, long story short, so that I can upload these, because they are only base game and the new pack, so they would be really easy to download if, you know, you only have the base game and the new pack and play around with. I didn't obviously use any mods or anything like that, so you don't have to worry about anything not working. I did use cheats, obviously, but I did playtest this whole thing and everything works, so yeah, you should be fine. But we've actually moved on to doing some furnishing, and we've already done basically all of the furnishing on the outside and for the like back gathering spaces, and we've now moved on to the little gym area. So there's just, you know, it's just a small gym just for, you know, apartment residents. There's 2 weight machines, there's 2 punching bags, treadmills. I put in a stereo, and then we do have a little locker room off to the side as well with one of the new like showers. And then I have just 2 toilets, some sinks, some lockers, and that's basically it. It's not super fancy, it's not super big, but I feel like it's more than enough for a space like this, because it is supposed to be, you know, only for the apartment residents. It's not supposed to be like random Sims coming here to work out, kind of. So yeah, that's just for them. And then we're actually going to go ahead and start on the apartments as well. So we're starting off on the left hand side of the build with those 2 like 1-floor apartments. So this is the bottom one, and it has quite a nice, you know, layout and quite a nice size as well. I think it turned out really nicely. And I did try and go through and use the same counters and appliances for all of the apartments. And by appliances, I mean like fridges and stoves and like dishwashers. Some of them end up having, you know, coffee machines. Some of them end up having microwaves or tea brewers or stuff like that. But I kind of changed that up for every apartment just to make it feel a little bit different and a little bit more varied. But yeah, so they do all have the same counters. I did change up the swatch of the counters for a couple of the apartments. So some of them have this lighter wood swatch. Some of them will have a darker wood swatch. And then the one studio apartment will actually have like a black counter swatch. But yeah, so I used all of the same counters. I used all of the same bathroom things as well. I did end up cutting out me doing the bathrooms just because it didn't take me all that long, and they're all exactly the same. And I do show all of them off in the tour at the end. So yeah, you won't need to see me furnishing the bathrooms. But I did use all of the same bathroom items, obviously for the same reason. They're all supposed to be apartments. They're all supposed to be, you know, maybe like owned by the same people or company, or I don't know, homeowners association or whatever. So yeah, they're all the same. So yeah, this apartment has a little bit more of a blue color scheme, and I did put in one of those like decorative dumbbell racks because I thought the Sim that lives here, maybe they, you know, they would use the gym on the premises, but maybe they like working out on their own as well. So they have some dumbbells and weights over there in the corner, and they just have a very blue color scheme for their apartment. But they have a nice sized living room. They have a computer area on their dining room table, because a lot of the apartments, some of them are very small, but I think most of them actually have separate desk areas apart from this one. And then the studio apartment also has a computer like on the kitchen counter, like on the island counter. But I just did that to save space, and because I didn't feel like it would be necessary to have an entire like dedicated desk area when there's such a big dining table, and realistically there would only be 1 or 2 Sims living here because they only have 1 bedroom. So yeah, I just put a little laptop on the table, felt like that was pretty realistic. And we've moved on to the bedroom. I did make this kind of fake walk-in, not walk-in closet, but like built-in closet area with just, you know, one of the base game dresses, a couple of, you know, kitchen shelf or cabinets, and then some hanging clothes from the base game. And then just adding a little bit of clutter, some rugs, all of that stuff, a little welcome mat out the front, which, you know, I just wanted to add. And then we're moving on to the next apartment, which is actually one of the 2-story apartments, so it's the one right next to it. And this one is a little bit more colorful. It's going to be kind of like a pink and green color scheme, and I did go for a little bit more of the traditional-ish furniture in this one. So I used some of those kind of like very traditional, I think they're supposed to be maybe like Queen Anne style couches from the base game if you use the style filters. But I use one of the 3-seater couches from one of those sets, and then I pair them with one of the 2-seaters from the new pack. So yeah, I think I mentioned this in one of my other speed builds, but one of my biggest complaints with build mode for this pack, and I am going to go on a little bit of a rant, so bear with me. But one of my biggest complaints with this pack is something that I actually had with Growing Together as well, is that a lot of the items, while I really like the items, I do really like the build mode items, I will be using a lot of them a lot, but a lot of it feels, I don't want to say unfinished, but like there's not enough of a specific style. So, you know, when you do a house a lot of the time, or at least when I do a build, I try and use items from the same kind of like set so that they do match. And even if I go for mismatched furniture, I like having the option of making things match whenever I do builds, because I'm not going to use I'm not going to use one set for the same kind of builds, for example. Or when I'm doing houses that are supposed to be family homes, I'll mismatch items. But if I'm doing something that's supposed to be for very rich Sims, I like matching items, if that makes sense. But my biggest complaint with these build mode items is that there's very clearly a bunch of different sets, if that makes sense, and there's not enough of any specific set to make it feel like you can use those items together throughout the whole house. So for example, that 2-seater sofa that I added is from the new pack. There is a matching like chair for it, but there's no matching love seat. And there's no matching, you know, there's a matching coffee table that is part of that set, but there's no end table. And there's no maybe like, you know, dining chair or bookshelf or anything else in that style. So you have those 3 items, and then you're sat there like, okay, I have these 3, but what else would they match with? And when you're using the other packs, I feel like this would be very easy to work around in a sense, because there would be items from other packs that would very easily match those items or that style, or maybe like those colors or whatever. But when I was working with just the base game, as I was with these builds, it's a little bit more difficult, because a lot of the base game items, they all have matching sets, and they're all like, you know, they all have their matching sets. They have their matching dining chairs and tables and couches and beds and end tables and all of that stuff, and they're all very specific styles and colors. And then you throw these items into the mix, and none of the colors match and none of the styles match, and it's very difficult to kind of mix these two together, because like I said, they just don't match. And even if you're going for a mismatched feeling, like it looks weird, because you have some of these more modern contemporary items, and then I don't know, there's one item in that style, or there's 2 items in that style. So you're left with this thing of, do I just use a bunch of base game stuff, or do I risk repeating the same item over and over and over again in the same build because I don't have anything else to match it with. So yeah, that's one of my biggest complaints with the build mode. Like, a lot of the items, like I said, they're great. I will definitely be using them. I love them. I really like build mode in this pack, but a lot of it feels very disjointed, and just like there isn't enough of a specific style to make it feel fleshed out. Build mode in this pack, while it's great, it's definitely not my favorite part of the pack. It is one of the parts that it does feel kind of incomplete in a way. Same with the windows and doors. Like, I mentioned this, I think, in my penthouse build, but a lot of the builds in this pack and a lot of the builds in the world, you can clearly see that they use medium or tall wall height. And, you know, when you build with medium or tall wall height, you kind of want windows and doors to match that wall height. Like, when I use medium wall height, I want front doors that would work on that. But we don't have any. We don't have any medium or tall wall height windows or doors or archways or anything in the new pack, and it feels so weird because there isn't base game furniture that matches the style of these windows and doors and stuff. So again, you're left with this thing of, do I use base game items that don't match, or do I use the new items and have them look weird because they're supposed to be on short walls and I'm using like medium wall height or tall wall height or whatever. So you're kind of left with this weird of like, why give us all of these short wall height windows? Because we do have a lot. We have a lot of like windows and like things like that for short wall height, but nothing for the others. So it feels very weird. It feels very strange. Same with curtains. We have one new actual curtain in the pack. We have two versions. We have two curtains that are more like beaded curtains. So they're supposed to go probably more like around archways and, you know, just be like that. They're not supposed to be actual curtains that you would close. But we have one curtain that's kind of like a blackout curtain, but we only have that curtain for short wall height. So if you build on medium wall height and your windows are a little bit more higher off of the floor, your curtain is going to float like halfway up the wall and it's going to look really weird. So I will never ever be using that curtain because it doesn't match anything. So yeah, it also, there's only a 2-tile version of it. There's no 1-tile version of it. So if you use a smaller window, then you're out of luck because the curtain isn't going to fit it. And it's weird. Like, why give us that curtain without giving us a smaller tile version or a medium wall height version or, you know, something like that? I feel like recently they've been really good about giving us curtains that work on different wall heights and different sizes, or at least give us curtains that, you know, you could, you know, they give us a 1-tile version, but you can use it for 2 or 3-tile windows because you can put them together to make like a bigger curtain. And I feel like, why didn't they do that with this pack? It feels so weird. Like, build mode, like I said, feels very odd. It feels very odd. It feels very incomplete and disjointed. And just like, I felt like with all of these builds, I kept building the same thing over and over again because I couldn't figure out what else to do with it. And that might just be a me problem. Like, that might just be me not being very familiar with this style of building or not being creative enough to come up with different things with just the base game and the new pack. But yeah, that was something that I definitely ran into. Now, obviously, this was very pack restricted, only base game, new pack. I didn't even have access to the tool mod, so I couldn't scale things like more precisely like I would usually do when I do builds. So I'm really curious to see once I have the pack in my normal game and I have access to my mods once they're updated and I have access to the other packs as well, what I can come up with. Because I feel like if the build mode just had a few more items, just a few more staple pieces, like I said, like the curtains, for example, or, you know, the couches, if they just gave us 3-tile versions of the couches, or, I mean, like, 1 or 2 more rugs maybe, then I would have been able to do so much more and it would have been so much more versatile. But I don't know, I feel like once we have access to the other packs, or once I have access to the other packs, I'll be able to do a little bit more and experiment a little bit more with packs that I feel like would match the style, like For Rent, for example, and Jungle Adventure would probably also work quite well because I feel like a lot of the colors would go really well together. So yeah, I'm really curious to see what I can do once I have more packs. But moving on from that big rant, I've kind of rambled through the rest of that 2-story apartment that I was talking about, and the other one next to it that's on the 2nd floor that has the really tiny toddler bedroom. I also rambled through that. I apologize. But I do go through at the end, like I said, and give you guys a proper look at all of the apartments, all of the bedrooms, and, you know, the layouts and all of that stuff in the tour. So yeah, definitely go ahead and stick around for that if you want to see it. I know this video is definitely on the longer side. This speed build portion is like 33 minutes, and then the tour at the end is also quite long because I have recorded it already. I'm doing this voiceover after I recorded the tour, so I know the tour is quite lengthy. This video is probably going to be the longest one that I'm putting out with this pack so far, but yeah, just bear with me. I will obviously have the timestamps in the description as always if you want to skip ahead to the tour. But yeah, we're currently working on the 2nd 2-story apartment. This is the one that has the very cramped living space. So the kitchen is super tiny. There's a desk right as you walk into the front door, and then they have their living room and dining room space at the back of the apartment, and also it is quite tiny. But then they do have 3 bedrooms. So upstairs they have space for 2 parents or a parent, whatever. And then they also have what I thought would be a teenager's bedroom, as well as an infant's bedroom as well. So yeah, there's definitely space to grow in this apartment. You know, if you only have one kid, or, you know, maybe if you wanted to knock out the wall between the 2 kids' rooms and make it like a bigger kids' room, then you could definitely do that. But they do have an art easel upstairs, and obviously the full bathroom as well. And then downstairs there's just a little half bathroom that's kind of like a guest bathroom. But yeah, that is basically this apartment. So for this one, I did go for a little bit more of a mix of some of the more contemporary items, but a little bit more on the traditional side. And I went for a kind of more neutral color scheme. And I say neutral when I'm using an orange bed, but I mean neutral in the sense of like a warmer color scheme. So I went for a lot of like oranges, cream colors, some yellow, and just try to go for something a little bit different from all of the other ones that I've done, because so far we've done 2 kind of like bluish apartments, we've done a pink and green one, and now we're doing kind of like a yellow orangey beige one, I guess. But yeah, so that's this one. And then the last apartment that we're going to be furnishing is going to be like the studio apartment. That is definitely the most different out of all of them. It's definitely a little bit more modern and industrial, and I used a lot of black and red. I don't know, I wanted to use those swatches of the new items because I like those swatches, so I wanted to use them. But yeah, that's going to be this whole apartment building. But currently we're working on the teen's bedroom, or what I thought would be a teenager. They do have their own computer and their desk space, their bed, obviously all of that stuff. Maybe they would be like a young adult, or like a newly aged up young adult, and they're maybe like going to university, so they're still living at home. Or, you know, maybe they're a teenager and they do just have their own laptop. That totally does happen as well. But yeah, so they do have their own little space, and then right next door is where I'm putting the infant's bedroom. And the way that I did the infant's bedroom, you could very easily change it to be for a toddler as well. If you just swap out the crib for a toddler bed, you would be good to go, because I do have all of the other things in the house that you would need for a toddler. Like there's a high chair downstairs, I do have a toddler potty in the bathroom as well. So once the infant ages up, you won't need to add anything other than an actual toddler bed. So yeah, you would be totally good to go for that. But that is basically going to be it for this apartment. We're just finishing off the little infant bedroom, and then we're going to go on ahead and hop over to the studio apartment, which is probably my favorite apartment out of all of them, if I'm being completely honest. I think I like the studio apartment the most just because of the color scheme and the items. But also I feel like the third apartment that I did was like the second story 2-bedroom toddler with a toddler apartment. I feel like I really like that one as well. I don't know why, I just do. I feel like, I don't know, I like the way that one turned out. It gives very like realistic, small, kind of cramped new family apartment vibes, and I really like that. But yeah, here we've started on the studio apartment, and as you can see, I'm using a lot more of the new kind of like themed items. So I'm using those lip couch, and some of the new like armchairs from the pack. I'm using a little bit more of the industrial furniture set from the base game as well. But I'm still using the same counters that I used in the other apartments. I'm just using them in a little bit of a darker swatch. And then some more of these, like, I use the same curtains, like, I don't know if I said this, but I use the same curtains, I think, in every single apartment, because they're just the most functional ones that we have in the base game, which are these ones. And then I use kind of like the same blinds everywhere as well. So yeah, like I said, curtains, I don't think I'll ever use the curtains, like the actual blackout curtain that came with this pack ever. I don't think it will work where like in any space that I ever build, because I usually don't build on small, like shortest wall height, and if I do build on the shortest wall height, it's usually something like a small family home or a starter home, or you know, something like that. And when I do those builds, that curtain is not going to be useful at all. So yeah, I'll probably never end up using that. But I really do like the way these apartments turned out. You know, like looking over all of my complaints and rantiness about the build mode in this pack, I do like build mode, like I said, and I do really like the way these apartments turned out. I just feel like there are definitely some gaps in the build mode. So for me, build mode in this pack isn't my favorite part. I think I mentioned this over on Twitter at some point, but for me, this pack is more worth it because of the 𝐂𝐀 items and the assets in 𝐂𝐀, which is weird because I don't usually pay attention to 𝐂𝐀 all that much. But the 𝐂𝐀 assets and then the gameplay features that they're adding in this pack is definitely more worth it to me than the build mode items, which, coming from a person that mainly does speed builds, feels very weird to say. But yeah, I love 𝐂𝐀 in this pack, and so far all of the gameplay that I've done with it as well, I've really enjoyed. Not even talking about all of the base game features that they're adding in the updates. So yeah, I'm really looking forward, like I said, to having this in my normal game and having access to everything and seeing what I can come up with. So yeah, if you guys have any suggestions for builds or anything like that that you would like to see, definitely let me know. I'm already planning on doing like a gym and spa build, and I have a couple of fun ideas as well that I want to get to. But yeah, let me know if you have any other suggestions. But I hope you enjoyed this build. You know, if you did, do all of the fun YouTube things. We're gonna go ahead in just a second and hop on into the game so that I can give you a proper look at everything, like all finished, and show you around. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in a second. Okay, so here we are in the game with the finished build. A quick little disclaimer, I am recording this before I even do the actual voiceover. So yeah, but yeah, I have no idea what I'm going to be saying in the voiceover, but I'm recording this beforehand. But this is our finished build. Now, like I probably mentioned, this is supposed to be apartments, which, you know, technically if you just have the base game and the new pack, they won't function as apartment. It will all function as just one big lot. But when I get the build in my normal game and I have access to for rent, I will actually be turning this into a residential rental so that, you know, you can have 5 different apartments. But this is what the build looks like on the outside. Obviously we have our little private area here in the back with a little picnic blanket. We have a little blanket here at the front. We have, you know, some things to do outside, some benches. We have a grill, some picnic benches. We have some planter pots, you know, just things for Sims to do together. We have a little chess table over there, some more planters over in that little area. And then right at the back, we have a lot for Sims to do. So obviously we have a pool. I use the new rounded pools feature. We have that. We have some lounge chairs, some more grilling space, some seating space. We have a little, you know, swing set for the kids. We have a telescope as well if your Sims are feeling brave enough to use it. We have that. We have some seating. We have a hot tub as well. And then at the back, we also have a little gathering space where we have kind of like a utility closet. And then we have a trunk full of costumes and stuff for Sims to use. A little bar. We have a games table. We have a stereo out here, as well as a little couple of game boxes. So like those card games that come with the new pack. So yeah, just a lot of stuff for Sims to do and like mingle with their neighbors out here in the back. And then we're going to start off on the right side of the build, where I actually have another kind of like communal space. So we have a little home gym, or like a gym for the apartment residents basically. So a couple of, you know, gym equipment, stereo, one of the new decorative dumbbell racks, as well as this door that leads you into a little locker room almost space. So there's some lockers, there's one shower that has those like sliding doors. We have a couple of sinks and then a couple of toilets as well, just to make it look, you know, as usable and functional as possible. But moving on to the apartments, like I said, there are 5 different apartments. So 2 of them are actually 2-story apartments, and then there are 3 of them that are just 1-floor apartments. But let's start on the left side of the build. So the first apartment that you get to is this one with the red door. It's kind of like what I thought might be like a bachelor's apartment or a single Sims apartment. Although there is a double bedroom, so you know, you could have obviously 2 Sims stay here. But they have this little like fake closet space that I built. Obviously the whole bedroom space. And then when you come in, on the left is the bedroom, but you have a little entryway with, you know, a little bookshelf working as a hallway table, you know, coats, shoes, all of that stuff. And then you have a big bathroom as well. I do have some Sims on the lot currently to play test it, but yeah. So we have a shower, we have a bathtub, a sink, vanity area, toilet, you know, everything that you would need. They also have a utility closet in here as well. And then we walk right into the back, into the living room, dining room, kitchen space. So we have a nice, quite a nice sized, you know, living room area with a big stereo. They do have access to the backyard. All of the apartments have access to either the front yard or the backyard. You'll see what I mean in just a second. But yeah, so they do have access to the backyard throughout this way. And then they have a little like dining space that also acts as a little bit of an office nook with the laptop. And then obviously they do have their kitchen. I try to use the same counters in all of the apartments just to make them feel a little bit more kind of like unified in a way. But yeah, they do have all of the appliances that you would need. So that is the first apartment. Now going upstairs, you go upstairs and you get into this small little entryway with the second apartment, which is a family apartment. So this is one that I built for a, you know, either 1 or 2 parents, doesn't really matter, but a couple of parents, so that's their bedroom. And then I thought they would have a little toddler as well. So this bedroom is super tiny. You might have some issues converting this into a child's bedroom once the kid ages up, but for now it is a toddler's bedroom. It has everything a toddler would need, so yeah, it works as a toddler's room. In the little hallway space, they do have a desk as well, so they do have a little workspace. And then right as you enter, you actually walk into the big bathroom. So they do have a walk-in shower, bathtub, toilet, toddler potty, everything you would need. I did play test the shower, so it does work. Your Sims actually access it from this side, so it works perfectly fine. Same with the bathtub. And then to the right, you have a little hallway that leads you into the living, kitchen, dining space. So yeah, this is the little living room. And, you know, there's some toys for the toddler to use. We have a dining table right behind the couch that has a high chair in it, or attached to it, I guess I should say. And then we have the kitchen at the back. So I did use the same counters, like I said, a little bit of a different swatch in this apartment But I also use these backsplash items from the new pack, which I really like the color that they add to the kitchen space. So yeah, that is the second apartment. Just a nice little, you know, family apartment. Now, right next door to that, we actually have one of the 2-story apartments. So for this one, you walk up, you walk right into the little kitchen area. So you have obviously staircase that leads you upstairs. But they do have a little bit of a bigger kitchen space. So they have same appliances, same, you know, counters as all of the other ones. I did, you know, swap out the appliances a little bit. Some of them have these more expensive fridges and stoves. Some of them have cheaper ones. Some of them have, you know, a microwave or a coffee pot. Some of them have a tea brewer, just to make it feel a little bit more personalized. But yeah, so that's a little kitchen area. They do have a small little dining space as well. And then they actually have a little half bathroom downstairs that's just a toilet and a sink. So like for guests probably. And then they do have a little workstation with a desk. And then obviously their living room space where I did this like fake built-in unit for the TV with some shelving cabinets. And yeah, just a couple of, you know, chairs, sofas. I did like mix and match some of the styles a little bit. But I wanted to go for this one for a like green and pink color scheme. Same as with the other 2 apartments. They do both have a, you know, I tried for all of the apartments to give them their own color scheme. A little bit more than their own style, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's this apartment's like living space. But when you go upstairs, you have a really small tiny little landing area. And the first bedroom is actually what I thought would be like a kid's bedroom. So I furnished it with like green and pink and blue, and then a bunch of toys and clutter and posters and all of that stuff. Perfect for a child. And then the other bedroom is actually the parents' bedroom, which is a little bit more pink like the rest of the apartment. So a little bit of green, but a lot of pink as well. And yeah, this is just, you know, plain little parents' bedroom. And then they actually share a bathroom with the child. So they have like a Jack and Jill bathroom. That's this long, skinny bathroom with a shower tub, you know, 2 sinks, counter space, toilet, everything you would need. But yeah, that's why they do have a guest bathroom downstairs, so that people won't have to walk through their bedrooms to get to the toilet. But yeah, so that's one of the 2-story apartments. And the other one is right next door. So this is the other 2-story apartment. It's the one that has the chess set in front of it. But you walk in and you walk into the little like desk nook, I guess. Maybe the sim works from home, so they do have a little desk set up. But yeah, they also have obviously staircase upstairs. They do have a very tiny kitchen. So it is laid out a little bit weird because I didn't want to put proper island counters here. So I have regular counters, and there is a toddler high chair. For reasons which you will see in a second. But they have a very tiny kitchen. I did playtest it, everything works, but it's very cramped. And then they actually have a little hallway that has another half bathroom downstairs. And then they also have a very tiny little dining living room space. So they have a dining table pushed up against the wall. And then they also have a very tiny little, you know, tiny little living room space. A little bit more brown and yellowish in color, this space. And then they do have access to the backyard as well. Same as with the one next door, they also have access to the backyard. But yeah, so that's their access to the back. Now going upstairs, they do have a little bit of a bigger landing area. So I decided to make it functional with a little painting corner with an easel and stuff. And then this one actually has 3 bedrooms. So the bedroom right at the front is what I thought would be like the parents' bedroom probably. So yeah, this is just the parents' bedroom. None of them have ensuite or anything like that. But there is a bathroom up here as well for, you know, the whole family to share. So it has a shower tub combo. It has a toddler potty, you know, all of that stuff. And then at the back, we have 2 kids' rooms. So the first room I furnished to be probably for a teenager is what I was thinking. So maybe this teenager is the one that's into music or into art or something. So they have a little guitar along with a little seating area. They have their own desk area as well for their laptop. So maybe they're a young adult, maybe they're in university. But yeah, they do have their own bed, you know, all of the stuff that they would need. Very small bedroom, but it has everything. So the other bedroom is actually one that I furnished for an infant. So even though they don't need the toddler items like the potty yet, they will once they age up. So I decided to put it in. And this also means that you could easily delete the infant crib and put a toddler bed in there. And then, you know, it would work for a toddler. But they do have some toys, a little seating area, and, you know, everything that they would need. You know, some decorative things on the walls to make it feel a little bit more lived in. But yeah, that is the third apartment. No, not the third one, the fourth apartment. And the last apartment is actually one that is only accessible from the second floor. So you have to go outside, up the staircase. They do have their own little balcony area, which I really liked. So even though they don't have direct access to the back, they could obviously, you know, just walk around and go through the back that way, which would work. But they do have their own private balcony as well. So they have a grill up here, a little table. They have one of the new rugs, or it's not really a rug, it's a blanket, but that Sims can cuddle on and woohoo on and all of that stuff on their little balcony. They have some fairy lights. And then they access their apartment, where they have a little bit of a darker color scheme this time. So I chose the same counters, but in a different swatch again. So they have like black counters and cabinets. They have a little bit more, couple more like more modern items in this apartment. So they have the big computer set up on the island counter instead of on a desk, because it is fairly small in here. But they have some more expensive appliances as well. And then they have a little like living room area with, you know, a little bit smaller than the other ones. Just a love seat and some chairs. And then going through this way, through this hallway, we have a little seating area. We have their bathroom as well. They are the only house, or like the only apartment, that doesn't have a bathtub. They just have a walk-in shower. But you could very easily take this out and put a shower tub in here, and it would still work perfectly fine. But yeah, so that's their bathroom. And then this one is a little bit more like a studio apartment. So there's no like technically separate bedroom. It's all one open space. There's no door separating it. But yeah, this is the bedroom, where I did use the heart bed in this swatch that has like the leopard print blanket, which I thought was very extra and just worked perfectly for this color scheme. So yeah, they also have a little gallery wall with some pictures and a little dresser over in this corner with another piece of artwork. But yeah, that is basically it for this whole build, you guys. Let me just give you a quick little floor plan look. So this is obviously the second floor, and then the first floor as well. And yeah, like I said, I will upload this to the gallery once I have the pack in my normal game and I have access to the gallery. But yeah, if you do want to download this, like I said, it will be up on the gallery as soon as the pack is out for everyone and you can download it. I will have all of that information in the description, provided that my save files actually work when I put them into my normal game. Fingers crossed that they do, so that I can upload these builds. But yeah, this is only base game and the new pack. But like I said, once I have it in my normal game, I will be going in and turning this into a residential rental, so that, you know, it can function as five like separate apartments, if that makes sense. I will do that. But I'll upload a normal version of it as well, that's just a normal house. So, you know, if you don't have for rent, you can still download this if you wanted to. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this build. You know, if you did, hit the subscribe button, you know, hit the notification bell to be notified of whenever I upload a new video, and hit the like button as well. And, you know, stick around if you want to see more Sims videos. But I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to check out any of my other Lovestruck videos, I will have a playlist linked on the screen and in the description of all of my early access Lovestruck videos and all of the videos that I am going to be doing with this pack once I have it in my normal game. So yeah, definitely go ahead and check that out. But I hope you're all having a great day, and I will talk to you all in my very next video. Bye everyone.